First and foremost, we gotta thank every single person that made this happen. Because I myself came from a single parent household. I know the struggles it is for the parents. And as a son, thank you, moms. Just want to tell you up ahead if your sons don't tell you later on. But I definitely know the struggles that happen for her. As you, Beverly just said, I graduated here. And as Dr. Gregory said before, this used to be in science building back in the days. And I remember I had a class here like 8 o'clock in the morning. Had to be here. If you got 8:05, they'll be late. And during that time, I also was working 2 other jobs. So you can make it, trust me. It's a little struggle, but you can make it, all right? So before ado, I want to thank you very much, everybody, for being here. This is a panel of very wealth of knowledge. Once again, there's 2 microphones back there. If you guys want to ask any other questions, please do, because now's the time for it, okay? So first and foremost, I want to make sure Ms. Cynthia DuRant, right? Our first speaker is going to be Ms. Cynthia DuRant from the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Ms. Cynthia DuRant is the Community Affairs Specialist for Maryland, the District of Columbia for the Federal Deposit Insurance. Ms. DuRant has over 10 years of community and economic development experience, including being a loan officer, vice president, manager for the community at a large financial institute and CRA office. She hosted a financial empowerment radio show, serving numerous boards, and she's a graduate of Trevika Nazareth University in Nashville, Tennessee, with a Master's of Arts in Organization Management and Bachelor's of Arts in Human Resources. Ms. DuRant, so please go ahead, just let her know.
Do I say
Yep,
it?
you can go right ahead, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. You guys sound sleepy. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. I had a couple of things happen in the car, so I'm good now. What it doesn't say on there is that I am a single parent. I was a single parent. I raised my son by myself. I attended college as a single parent, worked full-time, went to undergraduate, worked full-time, went to graduate school. So if I can do it, you can do it, okay? And having the child having my son made me refocus my energies on what is best for my son. And I stayed at a job I hated. I hated working for IRS. I didn't say that, right? my badge doesn't, but I hated that, but I stayed there because they had good benefits. And you'll do things because, you know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to you is, if I can do it, you can do it. Getting back to my speech. So when I was growing up, my father would always say, you only have your health and your good name. You know what I mean? Your health and your good name. Your reputation is what you have, right? And so when you start talking about credit and credit fraud, that takes away your good name. I'm just trying to relate this, right? Your good name and reputation are among the most valuable assets. Unfortunately, criminals know the value of a good name, and that's why increasingly they're stealing your information. And in this day and age, a lot of times it's not hard for them to steal your information because everybody's Facebooking and Snapchatting and putting all their information out there. Just like you don't tell people when you're on Facebook, right? You're putting on, I'm going on vacation and where you are and all this kind of stuff at the time you're there. Well, who's looking at your Facebook? Your friends and sometimes people that are not your friends. And they're looking for ways to steal things from you, such as dumpster diving or diving into your garbage can, or, that's how people steal information from you. They don't have to go very far. They're just sitting on the internet looking and waiting for ways. So federal and state laws plus banking industry practices limit the fees that you can be, that under the truth in lending, if you have ID theft, under truth in lending, if a crook opens a credit card in your account, you're only liable for $50, right? But if you don't know that, because they can get your information and send it over to somewhere else and have your information, the credit card that you applied for, go to their address. For example, I got my purse stolen. I was walking in the park and I left my purse in the car and came back and my window was broken in my car and my purse was gone. My credit cards, my social security card, my driver's license, and and they also stole my my phone bill for my mobile phone. Come to find out, they ordered an iPhone and had it sent to a place in California. So I'm the type, I try to get revenge, right? So I really don't try to get revenge, but they ordered a phone, and the only reason I found out they ordered a phone is because Verizon contacted me and said, hey, we declined, no, do you want your phone sent to such and such address? And it was in California. I live in Maryland. And so I got on the internet and looked up the address they gave me, and I was going to send a box of excrement to them so they can open it up and it would, they would be, but I didn't, because I called my sister, and my sister told me not to do it, right? So she's my pull-up pal. But I was going to I was this close to doing it. But the thieves they had all of my personal information. They had where I lived, and that's why she said not to do it. I don't care. But they had where I lived, they had my driver's license, they had all of my credit cards. I had to cancel all my credit cards, get a new bank card. Oh, and my checkbook was in there too, because I'm old school. I carry my checkbook, I carry my credit cards, I had my social security card in there. Luckily, I didn't have my passport in there. But I was only liable for, $50, because they could swipe my card and use it as a credit card, my debit card they did that, but I had let my bank know that it was fraudulent, so I was only liable for $50. But they could have taken my whole paycheck. They could have swiped, and they could have taken my whole paycheck. So victims are denied loans and even jobs, because they've had their ID stolen, right? Around here, you have a lot of people that are getting jobs in security, but if they do a background check, they have bad credit. Well, why do they have bad credit? Maybe it's because someone stole their ID, but they don't know that until they actually apply for the job. So what you should do is protect your social security number, your credit card numbers, your account passwords, and any personal information. Oh, by the way, they also had my passwords too, because you put your passwords in there, right? So never divulge this kind of information unless you initiate contact with the content company that you're trying to work with. A con artist knows the details, and believe me, all they need to know is maybe your mother's maiden name to withdraw money from your bank account or other credit cards. If you get unsolicited offers that sound too good to be true, don't do it. If you get contacted from your bank and it says that you have some kind of discrepancy on your account, call the bank yourself. Don't click. Remember, because we like to click in the middle of the night. I like to, click and order stuff and all that kind of. Don't click on the information. If it comes from your bank or any kind of credit card, contact them on the site that is a good site. Don't click on what they send you. Keep thieves from turning your trash into cash. A lot of us put our information in the garbage. Like you have you get your credit card statement, you just throw it in the garbage after you pay it, right? You don't tear it up. Why don't you tear it up or tear off the account number? Sometimes the account number is listed as the last 4 digits of the credit card, but sometimes your whole account number is on there. So make sure you shred it. They have shred days. Certain places have shred days. Take your shred there and shred it. Pay attention to your bank statements. Review your credit reports approximately once a year. You can get a free credit report every year. You can get 1 free credit report, right? So you can get all 3 of them. You can get one in the first quarter. You can get the one from Experian in the first quarter, the one from TransUnion the second quarter, and the one from Equifax. Equifax the third quarter. And you can constantly monitor your credit report, because you're getting your credit report at different times of the year, and since you're allowed 1 free credit report a year, you're monitoring your credit all throughout the year, right? So that's the way to do it. And I can give you that information on where you can get it when you come to my table back there. There are government imposter frauds. People fake that they're from the government and they're calling to give you information. Well, if the information was there, it would also be on the website. So go to the government website, .gov website, to get that information.
Ms. DuRant, my apology. We just have to go because we have a
Okay,
time for
I'm
each
sorry.
one.
I got a
Trust
whole
me,
bunch
I would
more.
love to hear all the information personally. And you do say you have a table, correct?
Yeah, I have a table.
All right. So our second speaker, Mr. Ronald Jennings, is a financial advisor with expertise in business, retirement, and estate conserving planning. Mr. Jennings decided to start his own practice in New York. Eventually, he moved the practice to Maryland in 2006. Mr. Jennings has the certification LUTCF. Go ahead, Mr. Jennings.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Glad to be here. It's my second year. This was a great situation last year, and hopefully you'll have as much fun this year. Like he said, I'm a financial services professional. I've been doing that now for 27 years. I started with John Hancock in New York, where I insurance and investments and things like that, working with families, small businesses, getting them insurance and setting them up for their futures, college savings plans and the like. I have my own practice now, the Jennings Business Group. That's located in Germantown, Maryland, and a table upstairs on the 4th floor that I'm doing with Cafe Montgomery. Now, lately, most of my work, although I have my practice, has been volunteer work in the financial community. So I do a lot of work with Cafe. I'm on the board there. I'm with the Community Action Board. I'm with the Office of Consumer Protection on that. So I do a lot of volunteer work, and I enjoy doing this here. So I have a table upstairs. Come talk to me. I do an awful lot of workshops in the community. I'm doing Money Matters here today. So if you're in that class, I'll see you there. And if also, contact Cafe if you need workshops or anything around the community. We do that. We have a lot of volunteers. So I work with some good people in the community. So and that's it. Come up and talk to me or whatever if you need to. All right?
Thank you, sir. Our third speaker is Ms. Mary Anderson from United Bank. Mary Anderson is a vice president in community development and nonprofit division at United Bank, working in the banking industry for over 35 years. Ms. Anderson has been providing relationship management for nonprofit organizations and associations throughout her career. Over the years, she has primarily responsible for business development, account management, and providing industry expertise for various lending opportunities unique to nonprofit organizations. She currently serves on the CR and Outreach Community of United Bank and provides advisory service to many of its members. She's also a member board of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Montgomery County, Maryland, the Washington Ballet, and the Montgomery County chapter of the American Red Cross. Go ahead, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I am a longtime Montgomery County resident. I was born in Montgomery County. I went to school in Montgomery County. I did go away to college, but I still live in Montgomery County now. I came back to Montgomery County because I don't think there's any better place to live. The services are great, the people are great, and the county is just doing so much to be progressive and to provide services for everybody. Now, having said that, I have worked with banks for over 35 years. When I graduated from school, I started working as a teller. I thought I would go back to school, but you get commitments and you buy a car, and the next thing you know, you're working for a financial institution for about 35 years. However, I do work with nonprofit organizations, and that's very, very rewarding. And we do work with a lot of the United Bank in particular has a lot of presence in the District of Columbia, and we do work with a lot of the affordable housing groups in the District of Columbia, and that's very exciting. And they're doing an awful lot of work with low-income tax credits, historic tax credits in the district and in Ward 8. I am doing a session today on managing credit, so we'll talk a little bit about credit. We talk a little bit about the importance of credit reports, and as you heard earlier, it's very important to check your credit report at least once a year. There's a lot of fraud out there, so you want to protect your credit. You want to make sure your credit is accurate. I'll also talk a little bit about credit scores, because when you possibly look for new employment, or maybe you want to get a credit card, the first thing they might do is pull a credit score on you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about credit scores, what goes into a credit score, how do they calculate a credit score, and this feeds into why it's important that you keep good credit. So I do have a session here. starts right after this introduction, and be happy to answer any questions at that point. Thank you.
Ready? Anybody would like to come up to one of the mics and ask a few questions to the panel? Well, so I would like to ask you guys a question, so since we're here. For a single parent, and we know cost of college is rising, okay? From your expertise, what do you guys would say would be the best thing for maybe a single parent that has 2 kids or 3 kids, and they want to start saving them from college, but they know because of the cost rising and living and rent, everything is going on, what would be the best way to try to save money or help them towards college? If anyone want to go right up ahead.
Okay,
Jennings?
I would say if you can, and if you can afford it, set up some sort of college savings plan as early as you can. Even if you're only putting $25 a week or $25 a month into that account, it's going to accumulate over time. Your child isn't going to be, depending on their age, they're not going to be ready for college for a few years. But the most you can put, as much as you can put in there, put it in there. A lot of the plans that they have out there are tax-deferred plans. Okay, so you have a tax advantage to it if it's in a college type of an account. So you can ask a bank or financial professionals about that. But my best advice is to put money aside as fast, as early as you can, okay, to do that. Okay. There's different types of accounts.
Different types.
Right,
yeah.
there's different types of accounts you can put in, and so that's what you need to look into.
There's a microphone going to for you, ma'am. Oh, yeah. It's off.
It's completely tax-free, but it's not on.
All right, you got it. There you go.
Okay,
It depends on the account.
Okay, so I was just asking if it was all tax-free, and he said it depends on the
That
account.
depends on
Thank
the
you.
account, yeah.
Okay.
You have college savings plans where that deferral is there automatically.
And I believe there is somebody from 529 plan here. Yeah.
Right.
Go right ahead,
So they'll
ma'am.
be able to answer that. yeah.
So what if you were never able to save money and you have children in middle school and high school that are going to college? Is there anything that you can do to help supplement their college tuition at this point?
Well, I don't have any particulars, but there are a lot of programs available. And if you did some research, for instance, I know in the District of Columbia, there's a college access program, and they will provide consulting. They also do some gap financing. So if your child has scholarship, but that they need some additional financing to go to school, they do some gap financing for you. But there's a lot of different programs if you go out and do the research. There's a lot of different programs available. You're gonna. Well, for instance, you can get a scholarship from a school, but yet it's just not quite enough to meet the full tuition or room and board. And gap financing kind of fills in that difference between the scholarship and what you actually know you're going to incur for college. Yeah.
I have 2 questions.
Right.
One question is about student loans. We hear in the media a lot about how the debt that students graduate with from college.
Yeah.
So question 1 is, what do we recommend to our single parents about taking those student loans? Should they not? What things should we take? Question number 2 is back to the stealing identity. If you get that credit report and you see that the identity has been stolen, what are some first steps? So 2 different things. 1, student loans for those single parents who have to figure out how to get their children through college. Should we consider them? And then identity theft, what are first steps?
Well, I think it's up to each individual. There are a lot of resources out there to look at. I know when I was going through college for my 2 children, I did a lot of research with the federal government. I also went to each individual school. I asked what programs they had. And at that time, Sallie Mae was doing student loans, so I went to Sallie Mae and I got a lot of information about it. So my kids did a difference between some scholarship, and we did borrow money. And we did refinance some of that with different lenders. I can tell you it's very important. You want to make sure you pay it back I think there are some programs that might waive some of this now. I'm not familiar with it. But I think it's up to each individual family, and considering the repayment of these loans, you might want to take that in consideration. You want to take into consideration state institutions. Those are much more attractive tuition for individuals versus private. You can get scholarship money, so you have to do a little homework for the school that you want your child to go to. State institutions are great. University of Maryland is great. All the programs we have here are fantastic. So I would recommend maybe leaning towards a state institution versus a private. But it factors. All I can say is versus the credit report, you want to make sure you pay those loans back, because if you're late or delayed, that information feeds into your credit report, and then it could take a long time to correct that from your credit report. If I can jump in on the second part of the question, you can, if you see something on your credit report that is inaccurate, you can go to that agency and you can let them know that it's wrong. You have to prove it's wrong. You have to provide them with the documentation. But they are under an obligation to review that, and if it's inaccurate, they have to remove it. So that's the importance of looking at your credit report at least once a year to make sure there's no erroneous, inaccurate information on that. So you have that ability, but you have to be proactive. You have to go to that agency. You have to prove it was wrong, and they have to take it off.
And they have 30 days to do that.
Yeah.
Well, as far as fraud is concerned, if you see fraud, you should contact, you can contact the police department, but you should also, there's an, on the Federal Trade Commission website, identitytheft.gov, you could look at what you can do here. There's a whole 4 pages up there, and I can tell you, 4 or 5 pages of things you can do if your information was lost or exposed. Contact the Social Security Administration, make sure they're not filing a false tax return, because you might get something saying you owe money because you worked at a place and then you file your tax return and there's a freeze because you can't prove that you didn't work there, but you can because the other place you were permanent full-time at this other place. So there are places you'd have to go to in order to make sure that you were, you can report it and to get it corrected. I'm sorry, report it to get it corrected, but you'd have to go through a lot of changes to do that. And like I said, the Federal Trade Commission has information on their website that can help you report it and correct it.
And I just, we got 2 more people who wanted to ask a question. I just want to piggyback in there on, it's the after fact. The state of Maryland now has a program for those that have loans, student loans, graduate and undergrad program that may benefit you towards your taxes. So once you guys have a chance, go to the Controller's website in Maryland, double check on it. So like say information, it's great. There's that thing there, and a lot of people don't understand that, that can benefit them, because for those that do have those student loans now, okay? There is a program from the state of Maryland now that just passed, that if you have loans, undergrad and graduate loans now, that you're able to minimize your taxes to a certain amount. So, okay. From the you gotta go to the controller's the controller website when you search it. I'll try to get more information on it. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, hello. I have 2 questions. One is about safety. You talked about when, keeping your passwords and making sure your information is secure, but when you're a single parent and your mind's all over the place, you tend to forget. And so I know that there's apps on your phone, but if you lose your phone, then that kind of goes out the door. So do you have any tips or suggestions on what you can do to make sure that you're keeping your information safe, and how to make passwords or things like that, or any apps that we can use so that we have all information in one place and securely?
There are apps. I just got an iPhone, so I haven't figured out all my apps yet, but there are apps you can put all of your passwords on, but you also need to lock your phone, have a password for your phone too. And then make sure you get things like, luckily they didn't steal my phones because I had left my phones at home to be charged. But if they had stolen my phones, I would have been out of luck because I wouldn't have been able to, I have all my credit card phone numbers in there so that, you know, if I want to call them for any kind of emergency or anything. But make sure you have an app on your phone that locks your phone, or that you can lock your phone from afar. And that way, if you have your apps or your passwords on the phone, you can lock that. The other thing is, don't carry all of your credit cards with you when you're going someplace. Take one or two with you. You have to have your driver's license, but think about where you're going and use the credit cards that are necessary, that you need in order to transact business. And as far as keeping your passwords safe, I do things at my house. You know I'm all over the place, but I do a lot of transactions if I'm doing something at my house where my passwords are. So, you can lock them and put them in one place and then keep them there and not take them with you and travel with you.
And my other question was in regards to credit and credit reports. I know that there's a lot of businesses, or you see commercials for companies that say that if you have bad credit, they'll go ahead and fix it for you or they'll work with you. And I'm just wondering about the validity of that.
I'd be careful.
Yep.
I would
about that.
stay away, because the money that you pay them,
Right.
you could pay your bills with the money that you pay them, right?
You could
And
fix your own credit.
You could fix your own credit,
Yeah.
because you can write the letters. They have, and I'm not a good letter writer unless I have something to say. But if I have to say something serious, there are templates for what you want to say in the letter that you need to send them. So you could do it yourself. You can clean up your credit yourself. I can't see paying $500 when I have a $500 bill sitting over here that I need to pay, and I might as well pay my bill instead of giving them the $500.
And those templates she's talking about are also on the websites
They're
in
on
the
the
same
websites.
format.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's really good. It's almost, we use the expression monkey proof. You
Right.
sit there and it's going to ask you a question and you're going to answer it.
Right.
And hit submit.
Right.
And that's it. The ball is in their court.
And if you work with each lender, if you go to the lender and you talk to them about restructuring what your debt is, they will help you. But you have to do it yourself. You have to be proactive. You have to work for yourself. I think that's better than going to somebody you see on a website or an internet. I don't think that's, you have to be very, very careful about that.
And people in foreclosure, I used to work at HUD, and people would call me in foreclosure, and they would say, "Oh, I paid a company $5,000 to get my foreclosure, taken away." Well, they could have paid their mortgage with the $5,000 that they gave that company.
Yeah.
And so, I'm going to ask them, why didn't you pay the company? Why didn't you pay your mortgage instead of paying that company? That kind of stuff. You could pay your bills yourself. And people that say, well, I could go bankrupt or I could file bankruptcy, and they have someone else paying their bills, and then they pay them an extra $800 or $1,000 or $2,000 to pay their bills, you might as well just pay it yourself. You could pay minimum payments on every credit card you have, and then pay off, do the snowball effect, right? Because that's the way to get at least one of the ways to get out of debt. I see a thumb up.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, you can get your credit up. Pay the minimum. Pay the minimum and then just snowball it. When you finish paying off the smallest one, then use the money, the minimum amount, to pay off the next one.
All right. Our next question.
So my question is about protecting our children's credit. We haven't touched base on that, but they have Social Security numbers. How can we make sure that they haven't been affected by fraud, and and make sure that they maintain no credit until it's time for them to create it?
Good question. Federal Trade Commission, we should have them come too. They have the identity theft, and they have something on child identity theft and how to keep your children's credit safe, because they're Snapchatting and Facebooking too, right? And they're putting out personal information that could be used, and they're in baseball or whatever, and they're bringing their birth certificates to the baseball field, right? So you have to protect their information too. There's the website is Federal Trade Commission.gov, FTC.gov, and they have a lot of information on there.
I want to piggyback here as well. For some of you that do taxes, as you know, the IRS has a really inexpensive free program. It's called the PT number, IPT number. You can call the IRS office and let them know that somebody is using your Social Security without your knowledge, and they will send you a 6 or 5-digit number every year to your address. That means when you do your taxes, you're the only person that has that number, meaning 10 people can have your Social Security number, do your taxes, but only you has that number. That means only your taxes is going to go through to the IRS, and all the other 9 is going to be flagged. So that's a really inexpensive way to do it as well. Okay? It's a IP number, and when you call the IRS, just let them know. Just tell them as the questions the person said. Yeah, or you can come to you can go to my table and I'll have all the information about it for free. I got one more question and I'll go to you, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to, bring something to everybody's attention about the education. And I'm sure Montgomery College is aware of it, that I believe Governor Hogan passed a law that beginning in 2019, community college would be free. So I'm thinking that for single parents, that would be awesome. It's something that you all need to look into because I believe then your child could go to community college. I'm not sure if it's income-based, but your child could go to community college for free and then transfer to another university and finish up. And if they had to get student loans, it would be a lot less debt. So I just wanted to mention that.
Anybody want to piggyback on that? Or no? Yeah. That is true. A lot of people go to community college first for 2 years, then they do everything for 4 years afterwards. You know.
But here again, you want to work with the high school counselors or you want to work with the college counselors. They have all this information that's available. And I would, if your child is getting ready to graduate from high school, work with them because they are able to provide you information on benefits going to Montgomery College, benefits going to state, benefits going to private, scholarship. They have all that information, those resources available. And can I mention one thing, sorry, about children. My children are adults now, young adults. I cannot tell you how often I tell them, do not give out your account number. Do not click on your iPhone and provide somebody with your account number. Do not give someone I counsel them all the time because it is so prevalent out there. And people can hack a phone, they can hack it's just amazing. And all the time, these thieves are after them. They're after the account numbers, they're after the Social Securities. So I counsel them all the time. Don't do it. I try to make sure that they're smart about it. I know that they do everything on their phone, everything. And I just try to make sure, don't give out your personal information to anybody. Make sure it's protected. So.
2 more questions? Your ladies had it. Yeah, you had your hand raised up. Yeah, it's called an IPT number. Yeah, I have all the information upstairs in the 4th floor. No, because it's I don't know if any of you guys tried to go to SSA.gov. I went to a place and they told me to do it. There's only questions that only you know about it. If you ever call the IRS, they're going to ask you questions only you know about your taxes. So yes, and man, you had your hand raised up as well. The mic, they took the mic away. Can somebody assist with the mic, sir? Oh.
I'm a single parent and a professor.
It's coming right there. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your patience, ma'am.
Hi, I'm a single parent and an adjunct professor, and here, as a matter of fact, I just wanted to emphasize something that I find a lot of students peg-hole themselves by their financial situation, and a lot of parents do too. There are many, many scholarships in this country. Some of them are so silly as doing a belly flop and getting $10,000 if you won the contest. So I don't think that your dreams need to be limited by not wanting a loan or whatever if you organize. And I just wanted to share one piece of information. There is an app, SCHOLLY. SCHOLLY. And if there's that one, there may be another one. It costs you $2.99. You put in your child's information, what they want to study, what they're doing, their average, their age, and I think you can start in 10th or 11th grade. And you can literally get hundreds of thousands of dollars of scholarships. It takes a lot of work, but they give you a database of what you're able to apply to with the deadline date, and your child can take responsibility for it. So it's SCHOLLY, but I just wanted to give you the concept. Don't peg-hole yourself. Don't say, oh, I have to do this. On the other hand, too, there's many opportunities at Montgomery College. If your child comes here, there are many opportunities to get scholarships on the way out of here when you graduate or going through transferring to other schools. This is also an excellent means.
All right. And there's a lady out there, and that'll be the last question for our panel, so you guys can go to your workshops. Is that working?
So, good morning, everybody. I want to piggyback on what the mom said. Okay, so if you have a high school diploma or a GED, there are many scholarships. But if you have a certificate of completion, it cuts it into 1/4 of what the rest offer. So my problem is finding financial aid for a certificate. Montgomery College is one of the few colleges that offers this awesome program that's equivalent to an associate degree. High five for Montgomery College, everybody. I'm telling you, the transitions program rocks. The challenge program rocks. I'm telling you, you guys rock. But to get it paid for is another dilemma. And in the state of Maryland, in order to get FAFSA, you need a high school diploma or a GED. Help with capital letters. Help us find financial aid for our youth to get their associate degree, their certificate, which is equivalent to the associate, but to help them get that higher ed, live off campus, have the experience that their peers have without us going into debt. Thank you.
You guys want to say anything?
No comment to that.
Okay. So our time is upon us. Once again, I want to thank you.
I will make.
You do want to say? Go ahead,
just
John.
one more comment, though. They spoke earlier about the VITA program. That's a program I'm going to put emphasis on, because when I found out about it, and I work with these guys in the county on that, again, $54,000 or less income, your income taxes are done free, okay? And when they're done expertly, and there's no errors or anything. A lot of people go out to these places on the sidewalk, the Liberties and the H&R Block, and they get there. You get your money back just as fast with VITA. But they'll go out here and have them do the taxes, borrow money off of the refund, okay, that they're gonna owe. However, that refund hasn't been certified by the IRS yet. So if there was a mistake made by the H&R Block or the Liberties, and you took a load of money, and the IRS says, no, we reject this return, you're going to owe us money. Well, guess what? Now you owe the IRS, and you owe that loan back to the people who did the taxes. So I totally encourage you. It moves fast. The season comes. Go to VITA. There's advertisement on the back of the buses in the county. When the time comes, you'll see all the advertisement. Stay away from those other places. I don't want to put anybody out of business, but we're talking, looking out for yourselves.
And they charge you a fee.
And they charge you a fee. And they charge you a fee for the loan if you get a loan.
That is true.
All right?
Mm-hmm. So once again, I want to thank Mr. Ronald Jennings, Ms. Mary Anderson, and Cynthia DuRant for your time. Thank you very much for your expertise and coming here.